So they're horny for blood? And that, folks, is why I didn't last long working in my local blood bank. It's also a line from Slashback, a Shudder exclusive, written and directed by Nyla Anuksuk. Hope I pronounced that name right. If not, I do apologize. This is their feature film debut. And also written by Ryan Cavan, who's done shorts and something called Sinister Switch. Not to be confused with putting the movie Sinister on your Nintendo Switch, even though the Nintendo Switch would probably be embarrassed you put a movie like Sinister on there and say, get the hell out of here, get the Black Phone on there, get something better from the people that did Sinister. Watch the Black Phone, not Sinister. Enough about the Sinister Switch, as it were. This is taking place near the Arctic Circle, really close to the Arctic Circle, apparently. And Arctic Hamlet, obviously, it'd be a bit weird if it was near the Arctic Circle and a Hamlet didn't qualify as an Arctic Hamlet. Named Pang. I love Pang. The drink of the air, that's Tang. That's Tang. I do apologize for that. But even though they're near the Arctic Circle, beautiful scenery, and there's a bunch of children that, well, they get together and they argue like, well, children, and they claim to be friends, but, well, they seem to be from either the Inuit tribe, other tribes, or tribes that are on different planes of existence, because it seems like people just pop in from different goddamn movies and different goddamn dimensions, and it's really weird. None of these people have any cohesion. Anyway, so there are a few main characters. There's Micah, Tatiana, Shirley, and Uki Nalajas Ellsworth. Okay, I'm not going to try to pronounce the other names. I wrote some of them down. I'm like, I'm not going to even attempt. I don't want to insult them. I'm not in tune with trying to get Inuit style names down. And since this is, set around the Inuit tribe, there are, people speak the language, obviously. And there are English subtitles. There's also quite a bit of English in this. It's a mixture. And essentially, after a certain incident happens, I'm not going to say what, just on the off chance that nobody has read the description or seen the trailer and they're just going into this movie blind. A certain thing happens that threatens the livelihood of the people in this little Arctic hamlet, and they have to come together right now over me. So basically, the best way to describe this movie, and this might be a minor spoiler, so just a fair warning right there, is it's like certain... It's like if Rim of the World and Attack the Block had a kid. And a really stupid kid. A really stupid kid with a lot of really stupid children in this. That, as far as characters, the acting was not very good. And it's not that they weren't trying, but a lot of what it was just, it was either badly edited. It was beautifully shot in parts. The scenery was beautiful. There were these great sweeping, shots on the water and, sweeping over the mountains and everything. Those were some good camera work here, and I think everybody tried. The thing is we've seen movies like this time and time again, and while it was cool to see an Inuit influence, an Inufluence as it were, it didn't end up clicking at all. I was annoyed to death by most of these characters. I didn't care what happened to any of them, as certain things occurred and certain things happened. And also the fact that this movie didn't lean heavily enough into anything substantial. It tried to focus more on the characters, which would be fine, but that only helps if you have characters. And I hate to say it, but this movie just did not come together at all. Now, maybe it was a labor of love, and Nyla Anuksuk had, there was a bit of a backstory about this, and maybe something that they came up with when they were younger, maybe when they were living in a particular hamlet like this. I don't know. I'm not here to assume things, but it doesn't make for a good movie. It ends up making for a movie that is, quite frankly, a chore to get through. There are a lot of stupid characters, a lot of people who do stupid things, and eventually when certain things start to happen in the second act, you start to realize that everybody here is acting like they've sustained several major head injuries. Now, I understand they're kids, but sometimes they'll act like, we got to do something, and then they'll panic. And then we got to do something, and then we'll panic. Oh, we'll do this, we'll go over here. Hey, I don't need to get out of the way of this particular thing that is trying to come at me. I'll just stand here like a moron and scream. Yeah, everybody was really dumb in this. And I'm not saying that I would have handled it all that well if I was a kid. And quite frankly, if I lived up in an area like this, I probably would have gone nuts. Because while I don't mind being away from people, I prefer not to be that isolated. But it just ends up... They try to have a family dynamic that doesn't really come together because everybody's just super annoying and super separated. And sure, there are a few good ideas here, but none of them come together at all. It seemed like there were ideas that they could have stretched and made, and fleshed out and made a little bit better, and just ended up being kind of painfully generic. And unfortunately, this movie doesn't come together at all and ends up being one of the worst Shudder exclusives of the year. It's not for a lack of trying. I just don't see this. It was paralyzingly dull, and then it seemed like it was building up to something, and okay, that's it? That's fucking it? That's all you have? Okay. This is like, I don't understand what they were trying to do. Maybe it was trying to send a message. I don't know. The message didn't click with me. But it is on Shudder if you do want to check it out. I've seen worse. I'm sorry. The writing, it wasn't even subpar. The writing was okay. But the characters were really dumb. I'm going to get into spoilers anyway. So 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. Spoilers. Okay, so basically, aliens. It's aliens. Attack the Block, Rim of the World. Any of these, kid-based alien movies that you got all together. It kind of reminded me of Attack the Block, which means that I was ready to goddamn hate it, because I hated Attack the Block. I absolutely hated it. I remember watching it years and years ago. Maybe I should rewatch it because people tell me it's actually good. John Boyega was in it, and I didn't understand anything the kids were saying because it was all British slang. Whatever, is what it is. Aliens invade, basically. There's this one archaeologist or geologist, wherever the hell he was, that is out there on his snowmobile. And then he ends up seeing the steam pile coming from the snow, and he decides to poke at it, and then he gets eaten by it. And then it turns out that I guess the snow melted, and now all of a sudden there's this big fleshy dome with tentacles and everything. It's like we're all hentai together. That's going to get a lot of weird attention. If anybody realizes I said hentai, god damn it, I say it again. And now it's an alien meat ship thing that is sending people down to kill off this hamlet. I guess there's really no explanation for why. And also, it's like one of the worst alien invasions ever. They take over animals. At one point, all these girls that don't seem to like each other at all, and then eventually do like each other, and then get angry at each other, and they talk about relationships and all this stuff and everything at the worst possible time. They reference The Thing. That's foreshadowing. An alien that invades and takes over the fleshy body and stuff like that. The angsty girls are full of angst and angsty, as I noted. And they go on this one boat trip. They get on this island, or this area that I assume they could only get to by boat, because it probably would have taken forever to walk. And then there's this weird weird polar bear and everything that made the polar bear from Santa Claus Conquers the Martians seem competent by comparison. The CGI isn't very good, but then again, this is low budget, so I can forgive that. I can honestly forgive that. It's not the worst in the world, believe me. It's not like... oh, God. Not like some Shudder exclusives. Not like The Seed. Oh, boy. But this one girl doesn't get out of the goddamn way at all. Doesn't get out of the way of this attacking polar bear. You could have gone and made about 5 sandwiches in the amount of time it took that to do. But no, just stand there like an idiot, girl. She gets killed. Or she doesn't get killed, but she gets attacked. She somehow doesn't get infected. There's all this black blood. And if you get the black blood on you, the aliens try to attack you. There's this thing called the G-Rack, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, about a soul-stealing, body-stealing, child-stealing thing, shape-shifting and all that. And look, I'm sure there's some lore they could go with there, but they don't. Everyone gets grounded after this trip. The little girl's bike is still out there, by the way. So I can only assume that's how the aliens eventually get to town. There was this cop that was incredibly bigoted, even though he doesn't actually ever say anything. He just comes across as bigoted, and then he gets killed. He gets reskinned. And the aliens, basically, they're all tentacles, and they take over and they reskin, and they kind of look like if Leatherface, a Leatherface cosplay was done really, really badly. This one girl spills a whole bunch of Skittles. Kill her. You wasted Skittles. How dare you waste Skittles? Then Micah and Uki, they're like 2 of the main characters here. There's the sudden alien invasion happens. This polar bear, this elk, this one infected Arctic fox that one of the girls kills, and now they're pissed and they're going to come after them. And they take over the people after taking over the animals, they take over the racist cop, they take over the other people, they take over one of the family members. Apparently, they only sent like 3 aliens down there in that giant meat ship that they had. And they're arguing about whose fault it is. Who cares? Really, who goddamn cares? Micah runs at one point. Run, Micah, run. Now it goes, run, Lola, run. They're calm during this impending alien invasion, locked in a shed somewhere after their party goes tits up when the racist cop shows up and they have to try to kill him. So they're horny for blood. They react for blood. So anyway. Oh, God. So grab your weapons. Just grab your weapons. They grab weapons, including this one that one of the great-grandfathers had. And one day you can use it. That's told in some flashbacks in the beginning. I thought we were having an Inuit documentary at one point. But you know what? That told something good. It probably would have been better to watch an Inuit documentary rather than watch this shit. And then 2 go off after one tries to escape from under a house to lure one away or lure one out, and they couldn't shoot it because everybody's idiotic. And then 2 of them go off, and they end up killing one in a house after a bookshelf gets knocked over on Micah. Help, I'm trapped. My dad's being attacked. Why are you just sitting over there not doing anything? Help me, friend. Hey, Dad, you gotta slit its throat like they did to the Arctic fox. So he does. He slits the throat, rips the face off, all the tentacles, and slits the throat, and that's it. That's it. That's literally it. That's all that happens. That's all that goddamn happens. And then they go on a boat trip, assuming the alien ship just sends the bodies or the souls back up of the thing. What was the point? What was the goddamn point of this? Again, I don't expect much from a movie like this. Was I missing something? Honestly, was I missing something? God, this was bullshit. Fuck Slashback. Now that I think about it might actually be one of the worst movies I've seen this year, and there were some good ideas. And I hate to say that because I have a feeling they tried. But I hated this. Agree, disagree, what I said. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.